This is the last adventure. This is the last bit of prairie that's left, and it's unbelievable that we have eradicated that much prairie. It's just unreal.
That really sunk in that the prairie was something special and something that's disappearing, something that used to be here and is gone now.
Well, if you're a biologist, you come to a country to look for the ecosystem, and if you can't find it, it really is bothering. We're down to 1/100th of 1% of what was original prairie.
When I first started, there were less than 3 square miles of prairie. Now there's less than 2 square miles of original prairie. So in the last 20 years, we've lost another square mile of prairie.
There seems to be almost a universal belief that unless something benefits humans, humankind, I'll say that instead of mankind, that it doesn't have to be protected or it has no value.
Most people do not know what a prairie looks like. They live in the prairie, they have the prairie laundry, the prairie concrete company, the prairie whatever, but they don't know diddly about a prairie.
Prairie, is one of the most complex ecosystems in the world. I mean, it just has like 80 different types of mammals. It has 270 different types of species of plants, and then you got the bird life, you got the insect life, 18,000 different kinds of insects, and it's the biodiversity and the interaction between all these organisms. It makes it a very complex ecosystem, and that's we're losing that because all we have now is monocropping. We got corn, soybeans, maybe a little bit of wheat. Coming down the line, possibly miscanthus, maybe switchgrass to come in for the biofuels, but the last few original genetics that were along these railroad corridors and highways, they're still not protected. And that's, once those are gone, they're gone forever. They will not come back. And you can get seeds from Kansas and Nebraska and other states all day long. They still have prairie. Illinois doesn't. Now their genetics are different than ours. They can change within a 30-mile radius. And that's why we try to get within a 60 to 90-mile radius at the most. We don't know how important these genetics are because we're just now getting to the point where we can do gene splicing, and we're entering the 21st century, and if we lose this gene pool, we're not going to have anything to work with, basically. But once we lose these genetics, they're gone forever. Even though they're in other states, our genetics, and Eastern Illinois is a very special part of the prairie. That's one thing I left out. It's a wetland tallgrass prairie. It's the only one on the planet.
So I'm Brett Barnhart, and I'm the youngest of the Barnhart clan. You know, this whole prairie project started in the mid-70s with a CRP program, and that's where the government pays farmers. At that time, grain prices were kind of crashing. So the government paid farmers to basically not farm. They paid them to take land out of production that was potentially more on land that was more of an irrigation or erosion control problem. And so the whole Barnhart project started with my dad needing to stop farming. And so we had about 15, 20 acres that we took out of farming, put into pasture, and that started this whole 120-acre project.
I did that, and at the time there was a railroad easement on 45 South. Between the highway and the railroad, there was some prairie remnants left, and Dave was watching them for the last 10, 15 years, and they were going to widen the road and they were going to disappear. Well, about this time, I happened to meet Donald. Donald had an interest for some reason, and Donald had a farm about 4 miles away. And I said, hey, why don't we take some of these plants? If they're going to be destroyed, why don't we try to take as many plants as we can and put them onto a place, you know, within this area, you know, on a farm, or try to salvage the plants, save the genetics. And so it happened.
Over the next 20, 30 years, we have slowly expanded. In 2000, we were lucky enough to put 80 acres into an easement with a soil and water conservation district. And the real point of that was we wanted to protect our land, really, from future development. All the Barnharts have a fairly strong sense, a fairly strong connection with the land. We really did not want future city growth to come and just envelop us. So we got this 80-acre easement, which was great. It basically protects us so that we can never decide, oh, tomorrow let's just sell this all and make it a development. The problem is we learned that those easements can be broken. For example, if a state agency comes in and says that they have a better use of the land, they can just wipe aside that easement and do whatever they wanted. Being close to a lot of public agencies, we decided that was a fairly high risk. So in about 2003, we actually applied and it was accepted for our land to become a nature preserve. And with a nature preserve, it's forever, can never be broken. So it's always protected.
And that's very exciting. It's more land and prairie all connected than anywhere in Champaign County, for sure. The other thing that I think we have done, we've made a really huge success of our project in the way of preserving the local genetics and the local seed resources of our region. By collecting from local nature preserves and roadsides, we have managed to accumulate probably one of the largest easily available seed sources of anywhere around. And this seed resource should be used as a seed resource to help propagate large and grow more prairies. And I'm really excited that in the future we'll have this resource, and it'll be so much easier to create more prairies now that Jim has done all this work and collecting all these seeds, and we've planted it, and it's growing and it's looking fabulous.
Like I said, the importance is, you know, once you lose this gene pool, you can't get it back. And we're losing more and more even though these, now it's not the railroad's responsibility or the highway's responsibility to save these prairies, but there's got to be a way that we can at least get the seeds and put them on another piece of land. And that's what we were doing with this Barnhart Prairie project.